Did you know that in 2025, some countries register an income gap so large that the top 10% earn up to 25 times more than the bottom 10%? Today, we'll reveal the 10 most unequal countries in the world and the reasons behind these alarming figures. Stay until the end to understand not only who tops this ranking, but how these inequalities affect daily life and what lessons we can learn. If you're interested in global economics and want relevant, up-to-date insights, subscribe to Global Finance 360 and hit the bell. First, let's quickly explain the Gini coefficient, the standard measure of inequality. It ranges from 0 to 1, where 0 indicates perfect equality and 1 maximum inequality. Most developed economies fall between 0.25 and 0.35, while the most unequal countries exceed 0.50. With this parameter in mind, let's dive into the nations with the widest gaps. Number 10. United States. With a Gini index of 0.51, the United States ranks 10th. Here, the erosion of the middle class, the rise of gig and temporary jobs, and labor deregulation have widened the gap. The top 1% holds more wealth than the bottom half of the population. Areas like Silicon Valley concentrate tech billionaires, while Detroit and Flint face high poverty rates and collapsing public services. Racial, gender, and educational disparities in income compound this inequality. Stimulus programs and minimum wage laws attempt to alleviate the impact, but significant differences persist between states like California and Mississippi. Number 9. Paraguay. With a Gini coefficient of 0.52, Paraguay exhibits a highly concentrated agro-export model. Just 2% of farms own over 60% of arable land, while most family farmers lack access to machinery and credit. Internal migration to Asunción and Ciudad del Este has created informal settlements with inadequate services and high unemployment. Agroecological cooperatives and land titling programs aim to reduce the gap, but change is slow due to resistance from large landowners. Number 8. Mexico. Mexico reaches a Gini of 0.53, resulting from a stark formal-informal sector divide. 80% of the workforce in informal employment earns up to 50% less than formal workers. Concentration of public contracts, mining concessions, and telecommunications in a few corporations, combined with dependence on remittances, deepens the disparity. Efforts to formalize small businesses and recent minimum wage hikes seek to close the gap, but tax evasion and corruption hinder progress. Number 7. Chile. With a Gini of 0.54, Chile has a high-income economy with deep divides. The private pension system based on individual accounts has left many seniors in poverty, receiving pensions that average just 30% of their working salary. High costs of private education and healthcare sparked massive protests in 2019 and 2020, demanding structural reforms to the neoliberal model. State scholarship programs and recent pension system reforms aim to improve equity, though implementation remains slow. Number 6. Guatemala. This small Central American country registers a Gini of 0.55. The elite, descendants of colonial settlers and large landowners, holds over 50% of national wealth. Indigenous communities, comprising 40% of the population, face historical exclusion and limited access to healthcare and education. Community land restitution initiatives and sustainable tourism projects in Mayan regions aim to generate local income, but progress is hampered by weak institutions. Number 5. Honduras. With a Gini coefficient of 0.56, Honduras is the 5th most unequal country. Land concentration in large estates and violence tied to drug trafficking have triggered internal displacement and urban poverty. The homicide rate, one of the highest globally, restricts economic development and investment. Rural development projects funded by international organizations and local NGOs attempt to diversify crops and improve food security. Number 4. Brazil. Brazil sits in the 4th position with a Gini of 0.59. Regional inequalities, the wealthy Southeast versus the impoverished Northeast, combined with racial disparities, Black and indigenous populations earn up to 30% less than white Brazilians. The top 10% receives over 50% of national income. Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo's favelas starkly contrast with affluent neighborhoods. Programs like Bolsa Familia and racial quotas in universities reduced extreme poverty by 25% last decade, yet structural inequality persists. Number 3. Namibia. Namibia records a Gini of 0.61, one of the highest globally. It inherits colonial land tenure systems and mining controlled by a small group of investors and former settlers. Only 10% of the population dominates diamond mining and export agriculture. Youth unemployment rates exceed 40%. Land restitution processes, technical training programs, and public-private partnerships in mining strive to redistribute benefits more equitably. Number 2. Eswatini, formerly Swaziland. This African kingdom reaches a Gini of 0.64. As an absolute monarchy, the elite around the king controls key sectors like sugar, tourism, and mining. Extreme poverty affects 40% of the population, with limited educational and health services in rural areas. International NGOs and pro-democracy movements press for social reforms and greater fiscal transparency. Number 1. South Africa. With a Gini index of 0.63, South Africa is the most unequal country in the world. The legacy of apartheid appears in spatial segregation. Townships without basic services sit alongside wealthy suburbs like Sandton. The top 1%, largely heirs of mining and financial capital, holds over 35% of national wealth. Youth unemployment surpasses 40%, and unequal access to public education and healthcare deepens the divide. Affirmative action policies and land reform initiatives aim to redistribute capital but face legal and political barriers. What drives the inequalities in these countries? First, colonial history and land tenure structures. Second, concentration in extractive industries, mining, agriculture, tourism. Third, regressive tax systems and limited universal public services. Fourth, dual labor markets with high informality and ethnic or gender segmentation. And the role of technology and globalization. While some profit from digitalization and global markets, others lack competitive skills. Automation and the decline of routine jobs further widen the gap. Around the world, inequality is not just about income. It's about access to education, healthcare, land, capital, and opportunity. In highly unequal countries, children born in poverty often remain trapped there, regardless of their talents or efforts. This cycle weakens social trust, fuels political instability, and hampers long-term economic growth. Understanding these dynamics is key not only for policymakers, but for all of us living in an increasingly interconnected world. These inequalities undermine social cohesion, generational mobility, and sustainable development. The most equal countries show that investing in welfare, progressive taxation, and civic participation are key to narrowing the gap. Were you surprised by any of these countries? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this video, and subscribe to Global Finance 360 so you don't miss our next analysis on the most equal countries in the world. See you next time.